Oh my goodness. Hey everyone. It's another edition of Interludes Extra Presents Talk on Tuesdays. And wow, what an amazing day. Terrific Tuesday. And I don't know. I'm having a good time on a work vacation. It's not really a vacation, but I'm here. And of course, I'm glad to know that you guys are here and joining us here for another edition of Interlude Extra Presents Talk on Tuesdays. I'm your host, Val the Voice Johnson. And man, I guess you guys are like, I wonder where she is. Yeah, I was running to get here so I could get to you guys. But gospel music, it's been around for decades. Anyone should be able to go into gospel music, right? Yeah? I don't know. But we're going to figure it all out. But of course, we're doing our thing. And of course, it is Interludes Extra Talk on Tuesday. And of course, we're getting ready to get started very soon and oh, right now. Hey everyone, it's Interlude Sector Presents Talk on Tuesdays. And man, we're about to get into some topics on tonight. But of course, I want to give you guys a wonderful hello and greetings from the Empire State in New York. There's a lot happening tonight. There's the NBA, I think it's the semifinals. I think it's with the Western Finals. So I caught a glimpse of that when I was in the restaurant that I was in. And then there were some other things that happened. And so I was thinking, man, oh man, that's wonderful. And I'm working with one screen today. So usually I'm able to have two screens and I'm able to show you, hey, it's Interludes Extra. And then, of course, this show is brought to you by our affiliate sponsor. It's Key Spot. And then I don't have the multiple screens, which is fine. And of course, we're waiting for Coach Tony to go ahead and join us, which is great. And of course, if you're in the chat, go ahead and say hello. We want to see how you guys are doing on tonight. But of course, we're going to be chit chatting about a couple of things, but definitely I'm excited about what has been going on. Now, here's the thing. I have truly enjoyed seeing a couple of folks do come into the podcasting realm. And before I get into all of that, I wanted to make sure that I let you guys know that we are brought to you by the ebook, but now it's about to be a book. It's called A DJ Saved My Life. Oh my goodness, A DJ Saved My Life. And I am a huge fan of what I created. And of course, it is written by your girl, yours truly. And it's my journey. It's a personal memoir and how being a virtual DJ and being a person that created a podcast, now it's up to 3 or 4, saved my life. And we would love for you guys to go to our not our YouTube channel, but our brand new website. And you can check it out at purelightHousemedia.com, and of course /shop. And then of course there we also are selling merch, which has the cover of A DJ Saved My Life on a mug. I broke my mug a couple of months ago. I feel so sad behind it. I'm like, what Valerie, what were you thinking? And so yeah, I'm really excited about that and just excited that you guys are doing that. And then of course we have Key Spot. Connect, share, and grow every month. Did you guys know that Key Spot highlights and has small businesses present their businesses to others where they can get new clients? It's every third Thursday. You guys can join us. But if you want more information on how to highlight your small business on KeySpot, go to keyspot.app.com. And Cynthia McAllister, who is our affiliate sponsor and partner, she'll let you know all about it. And of course, I'm always bragging on the fact that she did the website. I love our website. Our website is totally, I like to call it all decked out, and it's a beautiful thing. Oh my goodness. And of course, this is what I wanted to show you. This is the thing that we have. And let me make sure I pause it here. You can go ahead and scan the QR code for that, but then also go to purelightHousemedia.com. And then, of course, we're excited about our Patreon page. I've been posting more on there as behind the scenes. We did a wonderful behind the scenes with Tony's folks. Tony had a really good show on yesterday. Had 5 of the players that are graduating from St. Cecilia Academy in Nashville, Tennessee. What a wonderful time. But on patreon.com/interludes, this is some of the things that you guys get a chance to see. And that went really quickly. And so we're excited about that. And of course, our affiliate sponsor, KeySpot, always excited to show you guys that as well. And then, of course, as I was just talking about, Coach Tony, he has his own IG page, Instagram. I was on his case for months to get the Instagram, profile, and he finally got it. You guys can go ahead and scan the QR code because we're excited that Coach Tony has his own IG page. Oh my goodness. And so, of course, we are waiting for him to come through and do his thing. And of course, I think he just sent me a text message and he's like, hey, I need the link. We have to make sure that we take care of that for you guys. But while I go ahead and take care of that, we'll go ahead and swing on back. We'll be right back after these messages. Here we go.
Hey, it's your main man, right back at you. Coming live here from the Rise Studios. And it's your guy talking about what? Pull Up Podcast Show. What is the Pull Up Podcast Show? It's a brand new podcast hitting your airways nationwide, talking everything on sports, from baseball, basketball, hockey, and then I tell you, we're going to have a lot of fun. So make sure, if you want your questions answered, you want to have fun talking a lot of sports, make sure you pull up on me, because it's the Pull Up Podcast Show.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up.
Also, for those that want to learn a little bit more about this right here, oh yeah. That right there, that's the Rise, NIL, talking name, image, and likeness. Those having opportunities, getting paid, you want to tune in to it.
Sports show, let's go. It's the Pull Up Podcast show. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up.
Are you a small business owner looking to grow? Introducing the KeySpot mobile app. I'm Cynthia McAllister, owner of the IT company Quality SAP. Since 2016, we have been supporting small businesses and help them promote and share their businesses, services, and events across the country. KeySpot is more than just an app. We are a network providing community. KeySpot, connecting communities and supporting small businesses.
Oh my gosh. Welcome back to another edition of Interludes Extra Presents Talk on Tuesdays. Oh my goodness. You guys are pretty quiet in the chat, but that's fine. I know you guys are checking us out and letting us know what you guys think. Memorial Day weekend is coming up. And of course, what are you guys doing? What are you guys listening to? Are you guys going to go check out to see some movies? Are you going to spend time with family? Are you going to travel with your friends? I'm curious. I'm wondering what you guys are doing on this coming holiday. And for myself, I'm excited that I'm going to be spending time with some family and friends here on the East Coast. And of course, I'm trying to figure out who to cheer for in the NBA. And Coach Tony has told me some of his picks, we've talked about that on some other shows, but it's been really fun to kind of figure out. I wonder who's going to win and who's not going to win. So anyway, it's really a fun time. Well, one of the big topics that we're all going to talk about, and I'm waiting for Coach to come on and talk about it with me, is we got Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg, who is an artist. He's a rap artist. He's been around since 91. The Deep Cover soundtrack. It's been a minute since he has been in our orbit. However, he is orbit into gospel. I would love to know the audience's thoughts about a hip hop artist going into gospel. Now, one of the things that I was really excited about is I know that it's important for many artists, especially if you're in one genre and you kind of cross over into another one, that you kind of get, I don't know, welcome in, get some training. I don't know. It's some of those things. Coach, I'll bring you back in a second. But yeah, I feel like this. A couple of years ago when I had this whole, I call it narrative. And when I say narrative, I mean narrative. I wanted to announce with King Richard at the Academy Awards that Will Smith was going to be the first hip hop rap artist turned actor to win an Oscar. That was going to be the storyline. And for myself, he kind of ran adjacent. He was an actor, he was a hip hop artist, and he was one of the first hip hop folks to win a Grammy. I think that's how that worked. And so, Tony, as I'm telling the folks, how easy is it for you to go into another field? And so I'm talking about Will Smith and how he transitioned I think he transitioned very nicely into being an actor. And we all just kind of accepted him. And what happened a couple of years ago is that, we weren't talking about him winning the Oscar. We were talking about what he did to Chris Rock. So I'm like, no, what does it have to do with Snoop Dogg today? Well, earlier this year, and Coach, I'm reminding you of what we discussed earlier this year. We talked about Nelly, we talked about Snoop Dogg and a few other hip hop artists that was at Trump's inauguration of 2025. And a lot of us were kind of wondering, what y'all doing there? But it was told to us that they were there to make money. That makes sense, right, Coach? That you go to the inauguration and you get paid to perform. But it felt like a betrayal. I don't know, Coach, your thoughts.
Well, let me rewind that.
Okay.
First of all, Will Smith has a blueprint from LL Cool J of going from the hip hop industry into TV, of which LL Cool J had a blueprint from Ice-T. So when you looking at that, Ice-T set the standards. Because first of all, like I was listening to a podcast the other day with Too Short. No one expected Ice-T the pimp, drug dealer pusher, rap artist, to go from that to locking brothers up on TV and become a police officer, which they demise in the hood, And Will Smith saw that. And if you notice, all the hip hop artists, the one that made it and did pretty well, they all became police officers on TV. How ironic is that? Because
not all of them, but
I'm just saying, but majority of the bigger names. Because if you understand how to run from the police through the hood, then you translate that easier on TV. Obviously, i.e., today's 2023, 24, 25, 50 cents in the Power series, right? Because if you understand running from the police, you understand how the police move, so you make great episodes, right? So when you look at longevity, in my opinion, in terms of crossing the boundaries of hip hop, as I say, from back in the day to when we thought that all the lights was going to go out in 2K and never come back on again, until right now, Snoop Dogg has passed 30 years of genre respect. And his music is still relevant. Not because of the reason that you were talking about, but because of the reason is he understood old school artists. And the
Right.
new people, they don't. And the reason why Snoop has continued to grow in the lane that he's growing, because he pays homage. He keeps Charlie Wilson, in videos, right? He keeps Ron Isley, when the Isley brothers was doing. He keeps, other old school artists that he had, in his back pocket. So when he makes these musical geniuses, he can call up George Clinton and get a beat, Bootsy Collins and get a beat, right? And these guys. And the older hip hop enthusiasts like myself,
Right.
you, I'm going to always have the ear to the music, to the street. And if it clicks on what I got, then that's great. So when you look
Mhm.
at someone like a Snoop Dogg now, who then crosses way across the path and then supports the 47th and says, hey, boom, boom, boom. The only thing about that situation, me and you talked about that in depth, is that Soldier Boy did it for the money. He was broke as hell. He, and he told you, I was broke as hell. I needed
Mhm.
that 200,000. So if he broke as hell and only got 200,000, then Nelly was like, hey, I didn't realize that the brother was such and such and such, such, which we found out that he lied about it or whatever. But so Nelly got a good paycheck, maybe $500,000. And then
Mhm.
get Snoop. Snoop got well over 7 digits and
Okay.
opened some doors, as me and you were talking about. But what Snoop did, in retrospect to them, is Snoop didn't really need the money. He got Martha Stewart money, right? He
Okay.
still got he still got Long Beach, California money. So
Okay.
Snoop took that money and put it into his youth organizations. And I know you and I talked about it,
We
whether
did.
people agree or disagree or whatever. That's a lane that I've dealt in 25 years. I've gotten people, not going to have a conversation, but I've gotten people say, man, coach, I can't believe, locally you talked to such and such and such and such, and they gave you fun. Hey, in the back of my mind, Val, I'm like, let me ask you a question, Val. Did you write me a check from my organization?
I did not.
No. Well, shut the
No.
hell up, right? Well, that's what it comes down to. So Snoop
Mhm.
basically was saying, I'm taking this money, and he gave the numbers at that time. I forgot what they were because you and I did a show on it. And he had
Mhm.
given a number of the Crips and the guys that was on the other side of the track that he brought out the hood and made them security guards, created a security company where they watched over the venue while the 47th was speaking about whatever it was. And you and I talked about as well, because Snoop did that, the Zuckerbergs of the world, right? The
Mhm.
Elon Musks of the world, the Bill Gates of the world, and the other guys. When they have a party, who gonna be at that party? Snoop. Because
Yeah.
if you look at it, Val, the masses who is not involved in hip hop, they think they're what now? Cool, right?
Yeah.
Oh
Mhm.
man, you got any black friends? Oh, I got one black friend. Who is that? Snoop. Oh shit, okay. Well, you know Snoop. And see, they have a party with 500 white folks and one black guy, and then one black guy walk in and Snoop. And then Snoop brings his entourage, which his entourage is Dr. Dre. So that
Mhm.
eliminates everything, and now the party is considered to be cool. So you got to look at the
Mhm.
whole nuances of everything that's going on.
Yeah, and I have to say that with this, and here's the thing, this is actually Snoop's second gospel album. I
Yes.
didn't know that. I
Yep.
absolutely had no
See,
idea that he had
that's
dabbled
why I got
in
to
that.
keep putting you up on game the way I did. And Will
Mhm.
Smith, I'm not a big Will Smith fan. Outside of the
Okay, well,
first
I
two
am.
albums, I ain't listened
Yeah,
to him.
I am. Okay, yeah, I'm a big, but I'm more of a Will Smith fan as an actor than I
I'm a
am of
Snoop
his
Dogg fan.
music. Right. So here's the thing. My thing is that with Snoop, gospel music is, I feel like it should be. if you are literally spreading the gospel and you are, you know, walking the path with God and it's in your life, it's obvious. I don't know all of these things. I don't know if it's obvious. I don't know. I don't know Snoop. Let me just Calvin. That's his birth name. I don't know Calvin's walk with the Lord, and I'm not here to criticize it. I think, you know, it, it is what it
Well,
is.
first, you're
But
going to be the only person that called it Calvin, and he probably won't like that. But so let me ask you a question, because we don't
well,
use
go
birth names
ahead.
around here.
Go ahead.
So, are you saying, as an artist,
Hmm.
you're okay with me leaving my hip hop on the sidewalk and becoming an actor that I can play a dope man, a police officer, a
Mm.
murderer, a cheat, a scandal, a bank robber, whatever, or a good person? Then I'm okay, because that's make believe and make believe land. But if I drop an album to tell you that my walk has changed, then you trying to tell me that you don't believe that that's how I move?
It's gonna be hard for me to believe because I don't know you. I know what you've put out there. I understand the music that you've done. And
Okay.
and let me keep making this point. It's hard enough for folks that do gospel music to begin with. And there's a lot of unfortunate controversy that's within gospel music. I'm not going to get into all of that. But if you come into this arena, come correct. But here's the thing. As this picture, as you can see right here, this album is dedicated to his mom. It's
That's
called
right.
Altar Call.
That's
And I
right.
think a lot of people resonated with it. He unfortunately lost his mom, just like I
Yep.
lost my mom. He lost his mom in 2021. And so he has a picture of his mom on the cover. And, I guess there's Baptist or there's some kind of church roots there. And there's a fan of him and a listing of all of the records that the sound that's on there. Now, of course, I'm like this. I want everybody to sing gospel. Come on over to here. Come on over. But I've had some issues with some of the moves that he has recently made, and you've explained them to me a couple of times. But I'm just kind of going like,
So let me
gospel
let me let me ask you a
again?
question. Let me
What?
ask you a question. Let me
Uh-huh.
ask you a question there.
Okay.
So, and I love all my church people because I'm very godly, but this is the only thing that killed me about the people in the church so deep. If that's
Hmm.
the question, and if that's the sentiment, why is it then can we take the bum off the street, the guy that's done wrong for 50 million years, the guy
Hmm.
that's committed all these sentimental crimes, and then
Hmm.
he's sickly and God's about to call him home, and then he walks into the church to give himself and his soul, and we stand up and we hoop holler and we clap and we're great because he found, why can we do that then?
That's been done before in the Bible. There's a prodigal son story that's in the New Testament, and I think Jesus tells that prodigal son story about the son who stays home with the dad, but then there's one son that just goes off, he parties, he spends all his money, and then he feels as though he can't come back because he's squandered all of his money and stuff. But his son, the son that stayed with the father, feels almost disrespected because the father's like, I just want him to come home. And then when that son comes home, he's so happy to have him back that he gives him the best robe, and they get the food for him and they bring him in. And I think that's what I feel like a godly church can kind of reflect that scripture, but just being in and here's my thought. I get confused when I see what you've done before in the past, but then what you're doing now. And your walk just needs to align with what's coming out of your mouth. And a lot of times that's not us. I'm from the church. I am a church lady. I sometimes trip up with that. and I'm not always, walking. There's a lot of times it's crooked, and I got to get straight. But Snoop has been doing music for over 30 years.
Right.
This album just hit the Billboard, according to Billboard.com, just hit #1 on the Billboard charts. It's the first gospel album ever to hit #1. And I'm thinking, I guess
So
all is forgiven from doing the
that's my
Trump
point.
thing. That's what I'm wondering.
That's my point. And
Okay.
I'm searching my soul, but I walk crooked every day. Feel me?
Wait.
You know what I'm saying? After
Don't walk crooked. No, you can't. Wait.
I'm walking down. I'm walking down the street like this right now. But what the
That
point?
means you had a little wine. That means you had a little sip, right? What are you doing?
Hey, God turned water. Hey, Jesus turned water to wine. Bam. Hey,
Oh
I'm just
my
saying.
gosh!
I'm just saying.
I don't understand that, but you.
Here's the thing: when you're looking at what you just said, I look at this, and this is why this album went #1. I don't look at anything that you just said totally different than what Snoop is at. If we could take the bum, if we could take the drug dealer, if we could take the prostitute, if we can take the whatever, and they give themselves back to the Lord at a certain particular point, I have no recognition in my bones that a person like Snoop, who's been walking very straight, we're talking political decision, that's something totally different. That's not a crime in my book, the last time I checked. Not a crime, but he's gotten things he's done. And this brother right here is probably giving back more to the community than a lot of church members who go to church and tithe every Sunday, right? And then you turn around and he stayed relevant. That's the $1 million word, relevant. And I talk to these young brothers. I know he's my nephew. You know my nephew. He's a rapper. I said, can you stay relevant? As a matter of fact, Val, can you name me a current hip hop song that 20 years from now we're gonna play and it's still gonna be a hit? Because I can give you several from back in the day. And Snoop,
of course, you can do that from back in the day, because our hip hop was
hip hop.
Was hip hop, and it was, I guess, closer to its time of origin. It originated in 1973, 1993. It was only 20 years young when we were really enjoying it, when me and you were really enjoying it. But to say, am I going to be listening to Drake or Kendrick 20 years from now? And will I look back and go, yeah, that was good? Or if I go back and listen to, I don't know, who's popular, Lil Wayne, or if I'm going to go back and listen to, I don't, well,
I will give you one that you just said, Kendrick Lamar, right? I think 20 years from now, 20 years from now, we'll still talk about that diss track, right? We'll still talk about how he chopped Drake up on the diss track.
I'm still talking about All Right. All Right came out with the Damn album in 2005, and in 2015, and in 2020. No. But in 2020, let me finish making my point. In 2020, that song helped me go through the George Floyd situation, because I was feeling very angry about what had happened. So I was thinking, why did I not know about this song? And my producer at the time put it in my face and says, you need to hear this. And I was like, I got it. I got it.
Yeah. And I love it. But if you put 100 people in a room and you put All Right track on and you put They Not Like Us on, it's going to be 0 to 100 They Not Like Us. Because people want to understand controversy. And when I say that, I love everybody from every genre, because I mess with that. I get people, they laugh. Coach, I didn't know you DJ. Man, what do you not do? Hey, man, I do DJ. I come up in your house and do some floors. I get you a backyard and lay out the grass. Hey, I can hook your sidewalk up. Hey, they're like, man, I didn't know you wear them hats. But it's one thing that I do, and I do wellness, coach kids in basketball, and I know how to be a mentor. So everyone has that one thing. And Snoop's one thing is he understands again, going back to what I said a few minutes ago, how to be relevant. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the key. If you cannot be relevant or in the moment, you're losing it. Drake is no longer relevant in the moment. When
Mm-hmm.
Kendrick Lamar killed him and they not like us, they not like us, I'm sorry. When he
Mm-hmm.
killed him with that track, Kendrick Lamar snatched the microphone and it's his now. If you listen to the radio, everything on the radio now is Kendrick Lamar's new album. Drake may have a couple of tracks here and there, but it's just what we do. But if you look at in 2045, will
Okay.
we still be listening to Kendrick Lamar? I think the diss track we will be because again, at that time, rap will be what 30, 45 years old, approaching 50
Mm-hmm.
years old. And
Right.
then I think it'd be a great thing because you and I'll be up in age and they're gonna look back when you and I came through. Because when I hit the yard in school when rap exploded. I was there at the beginning. There's not a lot of people can say that. I was there at the beginning of the explosion when rap
Mm-hmm.
went to the next level, when Dre, DMC, Beastie Boys, Public Enemy, I can keep going down the list. I was there in those late 80s when rap went just bunkers. And
Right.
and I
Mm-hmm.
remember just being on the campus, at Fort Hill, me and Mike Drew, and and we used to have the track nationals. Remember, we used to have the nationals at school all the time. And I remember
Right.
one day I was up in his room messing around, DJing a little bit, and I was just playing, and we put the speaker in the window, and I was dropping some, ghetto boys, and doing that, and don't, and I looked out the window, and I seen the dudes on the track, they bobbing to it, and they were doing like this, and I'm like, what? And they were jamming to me DJing in his room, and because
Wow.
we were having a party that night of the
Mm-hmm.
Nationals, we always did anyway, but we were having a
Mm-hmm.
party, so I was getting some early practice in and bumping the speakers. But again, you can take a few tracks, Val, that are
Mm-hmm.
national anthems, right? Kirk Franklin's gospel song, a national anthem. You can put Kirk Franklin on in any arena in America, and they know that song. You can put a Angie Stone, and
Oh
they
yeah.
know her song. You can
Right.
put BB and CC Winan song here in Nashville. I know them. Put one of their songs on. You'll be able to get it. You can put an Angela Winbush. I can go down the line for those gospel songs. But when you look at those songs, Val, look at the bass line. Where they come from? They went back and got the old 1970s and 80s old school music as a bass line. And that's all Snoop has done. And he said, you guys know I'm a rapper. You know I'm a hip
Mm-hmm.
hop artist, but I'm going to flip it. I'm going to get in this church and I'm going to give you an album over here with the church people and they going to love me. And all of a sudden, think about it. You just said it a moment ago. Everybody you listen to, from Shirley Caesar to whatever. And all
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden, Snoop Dogg, the hip hop artist, Calvin Brodus, Murder Was the Case. He then brings
Yeah.
and delivers us the first #1 gospel album. Come on now,
Yeah.
man. You
Yeah.
got to get
And
it to us.
so Bella is in the chat. She says, "What up?" And she's checking in with both of
Next
us.
time I call you, you answer the telephone. Know what you do. Don't jump up on here talking about hello and don't answer my call. You understand me?
And listen what Bella says. She says that she actually worked with Snoop Dogg in 2018 at the Stella Gospel Awards when he released probably the first album.
Yes, the first
Wow.
album was dope, Val. If you
Mhm.
haven't heard his first album, you need to go back. He had 2 or 3, and he had Dr. Dre on the album, Val, producing some tracks.
Wow.
Hey,
Okay.
girl,
All
that's why, hey, each one teach one.
right. So I think with him coming into gospel music, and like I said, this is not his first parlay into this lane.
Right.
I think it's cool that he's honoring his mom And I think this picture right here is from the 2008 Stella Awards. Thank you so much for letting us know about that, Bella. And she said, I was his pa and he sung his gospel song. Okay, well then that's cool. I'm glad that you do that. But he has the Death Row Records Gospel Choir. I'm
Yes,
like, what?
they're
What do we
called
got?
actually they call the Death Row Mass Choir.
The oh gosh. Okay, I'm trying to figure that out. Okay,
Yep, yep. Hey, well,
it's
again,
not making
when,
sense, but okay.
well, again, Suge Knight went to jail. He bought
Mm-hmm.
Death Row, and
Okay.
so therefore put the label of the label in front of Mass Choir, and you get Death Row Mass Choir.
Yeah, that's
And so,
okay.
and you know what I would do? Know what he's thinking on that, Val? And
What
I'm
is
not
he?
Snoop, and I'm not in his
Mhm.
head. But what
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking that he's thinking is this: everybody that knows Snoop knows Death Row. So if I put Death Row in front of Mass Choir, I get those fools that don't know what the hell I'm doing, think I got a brand new album. They're gonna come over here and listen to it and find out it's gospel. And then you maybe get a couple of brothers that are on the border, right?
Mhm.
That guy that maybe just got a gun up to his head. That guy that just maybe got bad dope to his mouth. That guy that's thinking about ill will. The guy that just
Okay.
came out of a bad situation. The guy that may be ready to jump off a bridge. That guy that may be ready to do some bad situations, and all of a sudden it says, man, oh, this is Snoop. He got a gospel album. And then he listens to a track or two, and that guy changes what he's going to do. And then he gives all credit to Snoop. If I didn't hear Snoop's album, man, I would have done something bad in my life. That's where Snoop is at. And you got, in my personal opinion, is that when somebody does something bad in this country, right?
Mhm.
Me and you talked
Mhm.
about this earlier, Val. I don't know where the
Mhm.
hell we changed from innocent to proven guilty to guilty, and then you got to prove your innocence. But Snoop knows one thing. If someone says something particularly bad about you,
Mhm.
keep moving forward and keep doing what you do because it's short lived in this world now because of social media, and something else is going to occur that's going to put you very small. And in between what Snoop did with 47, Diddy came out. So nobody talking about no damn Snoop. And then
Well,
boom, he drops the
mhm.
gospel album.
Yeah. He announced a week before the album came out that he on his Instagram that he was dropping this gospel album. But I this like I said, this is not his first parlay into this lane. And so
You gotta listen to the
I
first album, Val. The first album is
mhm.
dope as hell. I heard the first album. I was shocked that
Okay.
he did, but the first album was really nice.
Yeah, and his mom is really nice. I like
Mhm.
that. I like that he said he dedicated this new one altar call to his mom. But I feel like it's pulling on some heartstrings. But my only prayer is that please behind the scenes can things be what you're singing about, because that's the call that we have for the folks that are already in gospel music, is that it needs to walk. And I think his first album he did a song, and I did hear this song that he did with B Shade. Now B Shade at one point was known as Tonex or Tone
So
in
next,
in gospel music. And so Lord Make Me Over, that was my favorite song from him. But he switched over to B Shade because I think it became very controversial with his personal life, that it wasn't directly aligned with the Bible, or people just started to criticize him for being gay and loving God. So that's a whole nother conversation. But I think it was attractive for Snoop to do this song with him because he knows that this guy is well known in gospel. He's got a great voice, and then he's Snoop. He don't, he's
and
popping. He's
you
still
know,
getting high. I'm sorry. I think he's
you
still
know,
getting high.
yeah, exactly. But do you know who his mom's friend was?
Who you talking about? Snoop Dogg's mom? Hmm.
Yeah. Do you know her? Do you know her? Do you know who her good friend was?
No, I do not know who her good friend was. Who was that?
Senator Maxine Waters. So This young
Oh, okay.
lady, exactly.
Mhm.
So again, it's doing the thing. It's a controversy there because I love you to death. I love gospel people. I love gospel music. But the only thing I don't like sometimes as a DJ is when gospel people sometimes think that the genre that they're lying in because it's gospel is the overall best thing. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes the artists
Mhm.
that are singing the gospel music are singing it for the money, right? They're doing it for the
Mhm.
wrong cause. I
For the
would rather
love of
have,
money.
yeah, I would rather have somebody in that lane that I know is like Kirk Franklin. I've never heard Kirk Franklin put out a rap record, but you
That's not
can't
his
tell
lane.
me,
That's not his
huh?
lane. That's not
No,
his
no,
lane.
okay, okay, but listen to this. Kirk Franklin is nothing but a mimic to Little John. He doesn't sing. I've heard
Little
Kirk
John
Franklin rap.
mimics.
I've
Okay,
heard Kirk Franklin rap, Val. I've heard him
wait,
rap. I've heard him spit
wait,
lyrics. And I
wait,
heard him be a hype man. Heard him do all
wait.
that. Heard him push the gospel music. But he's not singing the gospel. He's not singing
Okay, who,
the gospel choir that I would go listen to Shirley
coach,
Caesar.
coach, who came out first, Kurt or Little John? Who came out first?
That doesn't matter. Kurt is still singing hip hop and gospel. Why? Because hip hop sells. So you tell me
I
I'm wrong.
understand that.
Right,
Hmm.
exactly. I don't care who came out first. Kurt Franklin is spitting hip hop lyrics into gospel because at the end of the day, he wants the dollar bill. Period.
Okay. All right. Well, Kurt Franklin came out first before Little John. I didn't
Exactly.
hear anything about Little John until Yeah before I heard that
Exactly.
song. I never knew anything about Little
So let me
John.
tell
Now,
you, let me correct you, Val. Little
uh-huh.
John came out before Kurt Franklin. Let me correct you.
When did Little John come out? Give me a year. Give me a
Little
year. Give
John
me a
came
year.
back out in the mid 80s with none other than himself, Blow the Whistle, Too Short. Little John, I just listened to a podcast. If you haven't heard it, go listen to Too Short's podcast. Too Short went down during the time of the early 90s with BMF, and he met Little John. Little John was a DJ during the BMF era, during the time we had Freaknik going on in Atlanta, and Little John was throwing albums out. Little John produced Blow the Whistle for Too Short, which we already know that's an anthem. And you go look at the date, you can Google it right now, and I
That's
guarantee you
92, 91.
1992, Blow the Whistle. And go look at when Kirk
And
Franklin came out.
Kurt came out around that same time.
Right.
Yeah. He came out around that same time. He's
That's all I'm
recorded
saying.
his. Yeah, I
That's all I'm
understand,
saying.
but it doesn't matter. I'm grateful to what Kurt did for gospel music and how he was
Oh, yeah.
its hype man for a long time. But
Most definitely.
before you keep going, we have loved the diversity in the conversation. I want to say that says marriage marriage. I'm just gonna say the marriage. And then the person comes back and says Kurt is catering to a demographic so he can reach them on their level. And what was cool and even controversial back in 96 when Kurt Franklin came out with Salt and Pepper,
Correct.
and they did God's Property and Kurt Franklin,
Yes.
and it was he had her do the rap. He wasn't rapping. GP, are you with me? And then oh yeah, we
Because
haven't
Kurt
we ain't
understood
going
how to be a
nowhere.
hype man.
We was hype.
Kirk
We was
Kirk is
hype.
a hype man. And let me tell you, Val, from Kirk Franklin and Little John, who did they learn it from? Who's the best hype man in the business?
Little John and Kurt Franklin. Who did they learn who was the best hype man in the Clock Man? What's his name? From
Flavor Flav.
Flavor Flav.
Exactly. They learned from freaking Flavor Flav. You are 100%. See, that's why
Flavor
we
Flav.
got this. So, because I got to educate you, girl. I'm telling you, I don't just DJ, I DJ. You feel me? I don't love
Yeah.
music. I love music. And what I'm telling you,
Was a
I was,
joking
I was,
time.
I know that, Val, because I'm telling you, I was in the cut, deep in the cut. in through school. I was riding Chicago way deep in the Chicago hood.
Oh my
And
God.
wasn't no gospel music being played were the places where I was rolling back in the day. I'm just telling you. And when
Well,
gospel music hit and Kirk Franklin hit, I was like, oh my God, who is this guy?
well,
And
well,
when
the
Kirk
one,
came out, like, oh my
well,
God.
one of the gospel artists that hit early in the 80s was the Clark sisters.
Yeah, I love the
And
Clark
they
sisters.
and
Yeah,
they said they were getting ready to give up. I remember seeing them being interviewed. They had a Lifetime movie done to
yeah.
their story. And so the "You Made My Day" that was played in the clubs in the early 80s. And
Let me ask you a question, Val.
let me finish. They got heavily criticized from the church because they said that song was too secular sounding. But they would play this, "I'm a witness, and anybody know Jesus, won't he make a difference in your life?" And people were singing this and they were jamming it in the clubs. Now what were you gonna ask?
So let me give you some more education. Because
Here we go. Mhm.
education
Spell
is
spell the
good for the
word.
education is good for the peoples, right?
Okay.
The peoples. So,
Okay.
oh, I love tonight. This got me pumped up. So, why did the Clark sister in the early 80s, why was that a hit? And who made that a hit? Answer that question. And you're in the city that made that song a hit. Tell me why.
Oh, house music.
Bingo. And who made it a hit?
Mhm. DJs that were house music heads in
No,
Chicago.
no. One DJ. One DJ.
Oh, I don't know the DJ. You're gonna get that specific.
Yeah,
I
we
don't
get
know.
that. The one DJ that made that specific and that became a house is none other than Frankie Knuckles. So
Okay.
Frankie Knuckles dropped that for those that are learning tonight. Downtown Chicago, underneath Lower Wacker Drive, there was what we call the house, the warehouse. And Frankie
Mhm.
Knuckles and Ron Hardy were the DJs in Chicago after Frankie defected from New York to Chicago because New York didn't like the disco that he was playing. Chicago
Right.
accepted him. So when he
Mhm.
brought it here and put the Clark sisters on, he did that along with the one song that I'm gonna give you right now that he blended a lot and they made a hit, and that was Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you guys can look it up. You know,
I don't love you anymore. That one.
hey, when he put
You
Harold
can't
Melvin in,
hide from yourself. That one. Which one?
yeah,
Which song?
you can't hide from yourself.
Well,
Don't,
okay,
don't,
yeah.
don't. Anywhere you
Yeah.
go, there you are.
Well,
But
the house
when
music, but the house music had a certain sound. And
correct,
if you were in a
yeah,
different genre, like the Clark
yes,
sisters in gospel, or
yes.
like I want to say, what is that? First Choice.
Yeah, first choice. Yeah,
Yeah, but
exactly right.
yeah,
Melina Holloway.
they were in disco, or they were
Yes,
in, a regular R&B. We would
correct,
bring you over, and there were
correct,
some songs that we converted over to, and as we got older, we called it deep house. Like, what's the
correct.
song? The song
But
from
you can go
Stevie
south of
Wonder,
that,
as
y'all.
from what is that? What is that song? Songs in the Key of Life. As we consider that a deep house
Yes,
house track. See,
yes,
I know what I'm talking
exactly.
about. I know what I'm
And
talking about.
so
Yeah.
when you're
Mhm.
looking at the Clark sister,
Mhm.
Frankie made it good because he eliminated the music piece. And
Mhm.
then he created this disco sound of an instrumental with the Clark sisters playing over top of it. As you
Mhm.
just said, none other than what he did for First Choice and It's Not Over. It's not over. He was jamming that, and people got used to it. No, and I can go on and on. But the gospel sound, Val, became prominent through New York and Chicago. And then it slid its way down to Baltimore because when anything happens in Chicago, it's going to automatically go across the lake to Detroit and DJ Larry Levine. So
Mhm.
when we look at that, so if you go back and you look at that whole genre of things, and then you fast forward it 30 something years or 40 years, Snoop Dogg is riding that wave of that opportunity because he understands I'm already a hip hop artist. Matter of fact, I can be considered the godfather or one of the godfathers of hip hop. If they had a Mount Rushmore of hip hop artists, Snoop face would be on. You know that.
Well, I have to say, my was it junior year? You had
Of
already
high
left,
school or
Tony.
college?
No, we're talking
High
college.
school or
You
college?
had already left, so we're talking possibly my junior year in college.
Okay.
There was no place on campus, and I went to a PWI. Me and Tony graduated from a
Yeah.
PWI, North Central. There was no place on campus. You had already left, Tony, and graduated. That I did not hear the Chronic album.
Oh, the Chronic. Oh my
I heard
goodness.
it throughout the entire, you know, and then I would look to see who was playing the record. They didn't look like us.
They didn't look like us. Hey, your
That
boy
blew
told me.
my mind.
Hold on. What did Kendrick Lamar just say? They not like us. They not like us.
I'm like, oh, is that how we gonna roll? So Snoop was kind of that,
Yeah,
you know,
he already went over
was
to the
kind of,
other side of the aisle and didn't know it.
well, the funny thing is that it was if Dre was Batman, then Snoop was like Robin. But the two of them,
Yes.
and then the funny thing is that Dre was like, okay, go off and do your stuff.
Yes.
And then his album hit. And I think sometimes for the folks that know the hip hop side, that know from whence Snoop comes from, it's sometimes it's a little hard to go, oh, you doing gospel now? Are you sure, baby, you want to be over here with the saints? You sure? Because
Man, let me tell you, Val.
no, you want to be over here with us? Because I don't know. Because
Let me tell you something.
you be
I'm one of
smoking
those.
Chronic, and you call people hoes and tricks and all these other words.
I don't mean any harm to the church, and I love everything that's going on to the gospel. But let me tell you something. Everyone in the church ain't holy. If brother TD Jakes, if brother TD Jakes just got caught up on some P Diddy stuff, you feel me? Then we gotta that's a whole other show.
Allegedly, we gotta say allegedly.
Well, allegedly, but Snoop ain't dropping his album. Allegedly, he dropping his album. So the whole thing on this is, if you're looking at Snoop and all that, the one good thing about music is what, Val? It allows an artist to expand their mental mind. And then you are the listener. You have to decide whether you want to come in or not, right? You just said the whole point in 88, 89, or I'm sorry, 90, 91 rather, because 88, 89, I was listening to that original, I can't even say the words, but I was listening to that original NWA. And they was, man, we was rowdy on the yard. I'm talking about fighting football players every weekend, whatever. I can go back in the day. Ooh, that was crazy. Pledging, bring the whole 9 yards. And then when Snoop and Dre dropped that first Chronic album to come out, he's like, wait a minute, hold on. And that wasn't even Snoop's first song. For those that do know the hip hop genre era, we understand that Snoop's first song was Deep Cover. And if you listen to Deep Cover, that movie, that came from a Lawrence Fishburne movie, The King of New York. And let me tell you something. Snoop has gone 30 in a game. And if the brother at the end of the game wants to be just like the guy that's been on the street for 30 years and now he want to come home to the altar because he's sick in his body and ask God to forgive him, Snoop can come home and make a gospel album and put it on the charts. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay. Well, it looks as though you guys are, it looks as though for what Tony is saying is that it is perfectly fine and okay for a hip hop artist like Snoop Dogg to come over to the gospel side and do music. And I totally understand and get that. And I say, let them all come and do gospel music. Here's my thing. Just do me a favor. Just let me finish my thought before you run me over with a tractor trailer. I just need you, Snoop, and anyone else anyone else. It doesn't matter if you've had a background in hip hop or jazz or some other thing. You're coming over to this side. Just make sure that the gospel is being led in your home and hearts, away from all the cameras, because it would be a shame that that Snoop says, you know what, I'm going to do the gospel thing, to bring in money and to help, Death Row Records, prosper. Let's go on let's see how gospel works out. And it worked the first time, so it'll work again. And so I guess a lot of people that were mad earlier this year about him, along with Nelly and other artists that appeared at the 2025 inaugural ball, all is forgiven, because a lot of people have said, no, we don't care about that. We love that you honored your mom, and altar call, we're going to go make it, and we're going to buy it, and we're going to make it number one. So the album currently right now is number one on Billboard.
Exactly. And, but let me tell you something. I'm going to give you another piece. Now, I'm not saying I'm in Snoop Dogg's head. So he got Alcina London, who he just dropped, that they called the new Marvin Gaye, right? His album is ridiculous. Ridiculous. So if you haven't heard it, you need to go on Snoop Dogg Presents. If you haven't heard, I'm giving you the website. Go to YouTube, pull up Snoop Dogg Presents, and put in London's new album, Mulholland Drive. It is ridiculous. And he did a complete album with him. He then got another artist from there, and he put that in. The last 2 years, Snoop has brought 3 artists with absolutely no name out of nowhere, and the albums have all went top 20, top 10, top 5. And then he comes back, and he had already dropped an album, like Bella told you before. So the Second Mass album he did, dedicated to his mother. I don't see absolutely nothing wrong with that. And to me, it shows the ability of Snoop to get out of his lane and not to be just coming a hip hop artist, but to branch over into R&B, slow ballads, and to branch out into church ballad songs or church and see what's going on, because then he becomes the artist or the producer for the people. Some people, Val, if we look at it, they stay in their lane their entire career. And sometimes at the end of the career, they have no money or no fame to even speak about, or maybe they tarnish it along the way. This brother has jumped multiple lanes. He's like driving on a Dan Ryan, and the traffic is tight. He's just swerving, trying to get down to Lakeshore Drive so I can get downtown and go get me a pizza or whatever. But Snoop has been able to weather that storm. I'm a big Snoop fan, and Snoop, I'm gonna send this to you. I need you on the show. But I think that he's learned along the way, and he's understood along the way what sells. And Val, everything you do, I don't care if you are a pastor in the pulpit. I don't care if you are a preacher on the corner. I don't care if you collect the money at the church. I don't care if you collect the money in front of a store. Everyone at the end of the day has a 1 or 2% of a salesperson in them. And if you're not selling what you're doing and people are not buying it, then you're either going to be a has-been or you're going to be successful. That's unfortunately, that's the way the world works. And I think Snoop has sold 30 years of what he's been able to do and accomplish. But he's also been able to put people on. He's made multiple millionaires out of what he's done. He's hung around with the best millionaire in the game, in Dr. Dre, right? And now he's branched out to movie deals. And then you go deal with a ex-criminal in Martha Stewart. And then what, Val? Didn't nobody say nothing about Snoop when he was over there cooking his food, right?
Well, there was some critics. No. There's always critics.
I know.
Always critics. Yeah, very
much.
But
you know the funny part about it? The critics are the people that wish they ass could do it. That's the critic. They're gonna criticize you because they're not doing it.
But the funny thing is that relationship between him and who is that? Martha Stewart just worked because it's weird. It's just, I don't know. She said that there's some things that he taught her, and then vice versa. And
Correct.
so
But
they talked about how they learned from each other, and for them having this cooking show, it just was funny. I think that's what led to the NBC, I think
oh,
last year for the Olympics,
the
paying
Olympics.
him $9 million. They paid
No,
Snoop nine
16.
million dollars. How many?
16.
Well, they
16.
paid
And
they paid
and
him millions of dollars to commentate and just give
yes,
his thoughts
and
on
the
things.
highest watched Olympics in history.
Yeah, and it
And
was the
did
highest watch because of his commentary and his clothes. He had a really good
correct.
publicist and a stylist, very good stylist. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And here's the thing. Did you know, Val, that while Martha Stewart was in jail, Snoop was visiting her? Did you know that?
I had no clue.
Exactly.
I had
So
no
again,
clue.
unless you
Mhm.
get into these artists, these people, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes people make these comments and they say something and they're in the cloud, but they don't understand. I gotta get out here in the dirt. Let me figure out how that plant actually grew. Oh man, I didn't
Mhm.
know Val dug a hole 3 feet and put that tree there 15 years ago, and now all of a sudden it's growing. So you got to
Mhm.
understand that Snoop had a relationship and developed a relationship while Martha Stewart was in the locker, while she was locked up. So when they came out, they decided to do a show together, and it hit. So obviously she spoke and talked great and told him how to cook certain things, and they actually became pretty good friends. Dr. Dre talked about that. Like sometimes he calls Snoop and he got to get a voicemail, got to get Snoop to call him back because Snoop is so busy and whatnot. But you know, the Olympics is one thing, but to me, the best thing I ever know about Snoop and learn because I've had as a coach had an opportunity to play against some of his teams is that Snoop loves the youth. And I've
Okay.
had a chance in the basketball arena, Vegas, Indianapolis, Chicago, a couple of the locations that we played. You know, Snoop gives a lot of his money back to his ball players, you know, to help them out and to get them where they need to be. A lot of rappers do. Master P helped DeMar DeRozan, who's still got a hell of a career going on right now with Sacramento Kings, just left Chicago. So you got to
Mhm.
think you sometimes have to understand these guys' plight. And if you stay in the same atmosphere that you're in, maybe that atmosphere sucks all the air out of it. Sometimes you got to have a new start, and nobody know that that's within you. And if it's Snoop mother passing away that gave him one of those, something, I know I did wrong for 30 years, but I promised my mama that I'm gonna do right. Hey, I'm gonna drop this album and I put it out for my mama, and all of a sudden it became a number one hit or number one album. Hey, that means it's great. I can't do nothing but say, man, damn, dude, you got a hell of a marketing, you know,
Yeah. So
because we understand.
let's go ahead and wrap this up. The album Altar Call is available on all streaming platforms. You guys can go ahead and check it out and be the judge for yourself. And of course, like I said, it's dedicated to his mom, and so we want to hurry up and transition. But like I said, I just want you to be doing right behind closed doors.
There
I
you go.
can't be there to see what you're doing. God sees all. I'm not, and I'm
There
not
you go.
judging jury, and I don't have a heaven and hell to put you in, so I can't
There
do
you go.
that. We'll
I
just
agree with
go ahead. We'll go ahead and let that alone, not leave it alone, but let
you. Let
that
that alone.
alone,
Let
let
that
that
alone.
alone, and keep it moving on. Now, what I want to do now is talk about what happened on yesterday. I mean, I have never been so proud about how wonderfully, I want to say, impressed with these beautiful five young ladies that graduated from St. Cecilia's Academy in Nashville. And coach is the coach of the girls basketball team. And to hear them say so many wonderful and lovely things about you made me go, is this who I'm hosting with? Is this who you
That
are, who your character is when nobody else is looking or watching. And these women, young women, have been watching, and they gave you your flowers in
man,
a Did you
I
feel it?
held
Did you
back.
feel it?
I held all my tears back. You just didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I held my tears back so hard because I had no idea that they felt like that
Mm-hmm.
with me. I knew that I had gotten a couple of them, and to go on. And I'm telling you, these 5 young women in my program will go on to do great things in life. And
Mm-hmm.
I am just elated that the parents had them at the school during the time that I had the opportunity to become a coach. And more importantly, Val, several girls left and quit. And these 5 young girls was like, you know something? We're gonna rock with you. We cool with you. I like how you move. I like how you talk. And the one thing that one of my girls said last night, I think it was Dee Dee, who's getting ready to go to Stanford, the young African American girl, is that uh, her and Dalton in the middle, who's getting ready to go to Notre Dame, said that, you got an opportunity to let us be us, but you learned what we were all about and
Mm-hmm.
didn't try to change that. And every day in practice was, although it was different, you supported what we were doing. And it made me so happy because, man, I was frustrated. You remember them days I got on the podcast? Where you come on, coach? Girl, don't talk to me tonight. Let's go. I was frustrated because no one wants to lose. But
Mm-hmm.
dealing with these young women and uh, coming up with a motto every year and seeing the girls wrap them arms around the motto. And then at the end of the day, they talked to us, talked to me last night. They all knew the motto. They all knew the motto. And not only did they know the motto, it was a motto that they said, hey, I can take this into life. And my motto was no letdown. They can use that model for the rest of their career. If they're doing a surgery and it's difficult, don't let this patient down because if I do it, this person may not survive. Or if I'm on the
Mm-hmm.
stand, I'm representing you as a client. If I say the wrong thing or make the wrong move, this person can go to jail for life. Or if I'm a nurse administrating the wrong drug and I don't give you the right dosage, this person may not live to see tomorrow. So it was great. And I thank you very much. Today, Val's been crazy. Parents,
Mm-hmm.
administrators, um, people that I barely knew have texted me today. And matter of fact, Val, my cousin Derek, you
Oh,
know,
Derek.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, the doctor, um, he loved it. He says, "Man, that show. This is how important that show was." He told me that show was so nice. He watched it that his daughter, my little cousin, is
Mm-hmm.
in the same era of that 8th grade to freshman coming up. And he's debating between a major school and a school similar to where I'm at now with St. Cecilia. And he was
Mm-hmm.
like, did you just understand what cousin Tony was talking about? So if he and 3 or 4 more people reached out. And then today I got a call out of nowhere, Val, that I was
Mm-hmm.
looking for a recruit. And a recruit just committed to my school because the mother
Wow.
saw the video and said, that's where I want my daughter to play ball. I want her to be with
Mm-hmm.
somebody like you. So man, I was elated.
Yeah, I mean, this was really a fun show. It was one of our most watched of your podcast, and I have to say that it was a real honor to hear them, especially after the show.
Oh
Just
yeah.
kind of give you your flowers and say, the this we really appreciate all that you've done for us, coach. And thank you. You told them if you need me, even when you go off to your various schools and go to the West Coast and go here, go there, I all I am is a phone call away, and that to me says a whole lot about number one, your character, and then just kind of that I am going to be there for you. And I and I'm thinking to myself, I am honored to host this show, both shows, well, more of the producer side on the Pull Up Podcast show. So I was just taking notes on some of the stuff that I was checking out, and I was like, okay, this is real good. This is real good character. This is real good stuff. Real good stuff. That's what I'll say. Real good stuff.
Well, I tell you, 15 years now in college women basketball, to high school, and
Hmm.
Val, I gotta say, and I'm dead serious. Uh, Last night's show is probably one of the most meaningful times, probably outside of my 2000 and I would say 2009,
Oh,
2010 team at Fisk, that I took a
mhm.
team that had no hope and took them to championship status. And me and those girls are still cool today. They laugh, they joke at me. And one of my young ladies that is now my assistant coach, this team right here is probably close to that, just the people that they are. And the one good thing about the one young lady me and you laughed about, if you remember the young lady at the bottom right, I told her, I said, I remember when you came in school, you didn't even want to talk to me. I didn't even know if I was even welcome. But you walked out of school as a senior, and I'm your best friend. So that spoke volumes for me.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, Coach, this has been really really fun doing all of that. And like I said, the Pull Up Podcast Show, we are going on a quiet hiatus. It'll be Memorial Day weekend, so you'll see an episode, but it'll be one of our wonderful episodes from the 3 seasons that we've been rolling. So of course, the Pull Up Podcast Show, as we let you guys know, it's every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm sorry, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. And of course, make sure you come and you pull up with the questions. Tony will be back live June 2nd. And of course, we'll see you on the other side of Memorial Day. But I what's your plans for Memorial Day? I'm just curious. You got you barbecuing? You got some barbecue happening?
Let me tell
You
you
got
something.
you got
That's another
barbecue?
talent. Another talent I got. I get
I know
damn.
you do.
I
You be
get,
you
hey,
barbecuing.
hey, how they say, I get down on the grill. Let me tell you something.
he
You know,
gets
hey,
he gets he gets down,
family,
which is good.
family wouldn't own Lim's Barbecue. When you ever come to Chicago, 75th Street,
Mhm.
Lim's Barbecue, come by and get you some food. So we wouldn't be the owner of that, and I know what to do if we didn't get down. So
Exactly,
I know this
exactly.
weekend we gonna you know how Pops back in the day did Val cooking, lick them fingers. We're gonna do just that.
And of course, Coach continues the love. If you guys go ahead, he has his own IG. If you're not following Coach on IG, I'm telling you, missing out. You missing out. We keep posting. We keep posting. I'm sorry. I keep posting. I keep posting for Coach. So here we go. Scan the QR code and follow Coach Tony on the Pull Up Podcast Show. That show, his show, streams exclusively over there for IG. And of course, if you go ahead and give him a follow, he'll give you a follow back, or I'll tell him to follow you, or I'll do it myself. Whatever happens
We're gonna
first.
make it happen.
We're gonna either way it goes, we're gonna make it happen. And of course, it's the book, A DJ Saved My Life. As I said, it's a personal memoir, and of course, Coach, it goes to print next week. I'm
Okay.
hyped. I'm
Okay.
hyped. I'm
Finally
hyped.
got a hard copy. I can get something to write on.
Yeah, so I'll be signing 50 copies of the book and getting them out to folks. And so we're excited. It comes in June. And so I'm gonna set up a page for pre-orders. And if those orders go over 50, which I hope they do, then we'll be ordering some more. But the first 50 are coming. And of course, because I'm independently publishing this, you got to show your love and show your hands for what it happens with this, of course. And then, of course, patreon.com/interludes. Lots of great posting is happening over there. And of course, kind of the behind the scenes with this show, as well as the Pull Up Podcast Show. And then also articles regarding some of the movies that we are seeing or will be seeing. I think I'm going to check out Mission Impossible this weekend. I'm going to see who's
Man,
interested
I've been
in
hearing
that.
so much about
Mm-hmm.
Tom Cruise in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I like Tom. I just want to see my girl Angela Bassett. I heard she a
I want
boss.
to see, yeah, yeah, and she seems to ever since. Well, I feel like she's been doing boss roles since I don't know. Gosh, Tina Turner. What's love got to
Yeah,
do with it? I
I
feel like
think
she's
Tina
been,
Turner was
yeah.
the biggest boss role she's ever did because today
Mhm.
they interviewed her this morning on CBS and she talked about that. She said it was so difficult to get in that role. Plus, Tina Turner sat on the cast every day. So can
Yeah,
you imagine?
she
Yeah,
watched
can
her
you imagine?
perform
I
her.
gotta pay Val the voice, and Val the voice is sitting in the corner. Hey, like,
It's
hey,
fine.
hey, that ain't me. I ain't never did nothing like that. Do that over.
No, no. I think, and the great thing about great actors like Angela Bassett and others is that they're method actors. They're going to
Yes,
follow the method and the way and if you look at What's Love Got to Do with It, and I'll go ahead and pull this down. If you look at that film, What's Love Got to Do with It, it literally shows how much Angela embodied her. Now that as much as we were like, oh, she should have won for Black Panther playing the Queen, she really should have won back in '94 for What's Love Got to Do with It. I don't know I forgot who she lost to, but Angela, your Oscar is coming. Now, I think she's got an honorary Oscar. I think they awarded her that last year, but I would like for her to win something else. And so I'm sorry, I'm biased. I'm biased. I'm
did you
biased. I'm
know
just gonna say
that?
it.
Did
I'm
you know
biased.
that
Mhm.
her husband also has a movie coming out Saturday? Friday night, the exact same night that the Mission Impossible. They laughed about that today, and they're trying to see which movie in the house is going to be the best seller. We already know who that's going to be.
Oh well, you know what? It all is fair and love in movies. All is fair in love in movies. Key Spot is our affiliate sponsor. Make sure that you check them out on keyspot.app.com/free to learn how your small business, if you have one, can be amplified on the app. And of course, connect with them also for every third Thursday. You can connect with other small businesses around the country and get your business seen. That's from our affiliate sponsor, Cynthia McAllister of Quality SAP. Oh, that's another Talk on Tuesdays in the bag. And next week for Talk on Tuesdays, we have a special episode with Prophet and the Reverend Anthony D. Shannon. He has a wonderful book called Sacred Success, and I will be streaming that in place of it'll be our Interludes extra Talk on Tuesday special. It'll be the Interludes podcast in this spot next week because we're going just a little bit of a hiatus, and then we'll be back strong in June. But we look forward to seeing you guys. This was a fun show. I love talking music with you, Coach. You know your stuff.
Yeah. We got to do on your show a complete. We keep saying that we haven't done it yet. We got to do a complete house music episode where we really break down
Well,
Chicago, New York house music. We got to do that. That's
we
got to be an
we
episode we
should
got to plan.
possibly do that June 3rd because June is Black Music Month.
Let's do it. I think the
I think
education, the
mhm,
teaching, and we talk about it. Hey, as they say, don't talk about it, be about it.
be about it. Be about it. So it would be great to reach out to one of our DJ friends to be on with us. So wink, wink, and I can do that wink back to myself. So we could definitely do that. Oh my goodness. It's another Interludes Extra Talk on Tuesday. But of course, we'll go ahead and put up the peace sign. We'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Hey,
Peace.
happy Memorial Day.